What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics here. Today to tell you all your football cards are going to zero. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Week 1 overreaction. Everything's in the red. Everything sucks. All the quarterbacks blow. The card prices are down 97,000%. And you're all idiots if you bought anything in the summer and expected it to go up into the actual season starting. Kidding. Kinda. We're going to look at some NFL stuff today. I know it's the in vogue thing to do this week to put the, everything's crashing, everything's going to zero, everything this, everything that, it's going to the moon, it's not going to the moon. At least you don't have Deshaun Watson as your starting quarterback on your favorite NFL team. At least you don't have that going for you. Let's go ahead and dive in. Market movers. Link in the description down below. We are going to look at some players. We're going to start with the positive. We're going to look at players that actually went up from week 1. We're going to touch on some guys that I am concerned about, as we all should be. But to be quite frank, it usually takes a little bit of time for down prices to sort themselves out. It's very rare that 2 days after you immediately see the prices crashing. It takes a little bit of time, because most people want to hold on to this stuff. Inventory has to trickle out. Most people aren't just straight fire selling. Everyone has hopes and dreams that their cards will get back into the green, and everybody hates selling for a loss. So they will just cling to them and leave them sitting on eBay for 15 years at some dumb price that no one will ever click on, rather than selling and getting the money out of the card and doing something better with it. But that is a video for a different time. Before we dive too deep into what is going up and what is going down, we have to give a quick shout out to today's video sponsor, the Pennysleever. That's right, your home for quality hobby supplies. Family run business, free shipping over $49, and you could use code NEOCARDS. All this information will be in the description of the video for 10% off your very first order with them. Extremely reasonable prices. 100 packs of penny sleeves for $2. They have these combo packs. This one in particular is one of my favorites. The 35-point top loader, 200 count with penny sleeves included. Get it all in one nice little bundle. But they have all kinds of stuff over there. We have top loaders, mags, card sleeves, and semi-ridges if you're sending stuff in for grading. They have various different bundles on the website as well. Once again, the link will be in the description. Go check out the Pennysleever, your home for quality, affordable supplies. I've been using them for over a month now and have had zero issues with their stuff. So let's start off with the good. Some guys that had some breakout week 1s, and you're going to notice a little bit of a trend here. Most of these players were not very expensive to begin with. Most of these players are also position players outside of one, and the one is not shocking. It is a backup quarterback that is now a starting quarterback. A tale as old as time that people run out and buy up the backup quarterback, even though they're only going to be starting for a couple of weeks and probably aren't going to be very good 9 times out of 10. So, and this is not an all-encompassing list of every player that went up 3% over week 1. I just picked some of the highlights from the list. First up, and these are in no particular order, Rashid Rice from Kansas City Chiefs looked fantastic in week 1, along with Xavier Worthy. I didn't pull any Xavier Worthy stuff because really all he has is college product right now. Topps did do a Topps Now card of him. They are cashing in on that very quickly. Rice is up about 80%. Worthy stuff is also up quite a bit as well. Our backup quarterback du jour of week 1, Malik Willis, up 25%. And really, it's a lot more than that. It just kind of depends on when you got into his stuff. But 25% increase on his PSA 10 Silver Prism. I don't know what is more surprising, that people keep falling for the trap of paying inflated prices for backup quarterbacks after the primary gets hurt, or that 70 people decided to grade a Malik Willis Silver Prism PSA, or a Silver Prism, and turn it into a PSA 10. The pop count on that card is 70. I am shocked by that more than anything else that we are going to talk about today. I do not have high hopes for Malik Willis. I think at most he's only going to start for 3 or 4 weeks, and then he's right back to the bench again. So I don't know what the upside here is, unless you think he's actually going to play well. If you do, more power to you. May I borrow the crystal ball that you have? Jaden Reed blew up. Nice primetime spot. I think that's also a contributing factor to some of these. Those first couple primetime games, all eyes are on it and everyone's just jonesing for football again. And I think it gets everyone's juices flowing a little bit harder. And that contributes to some of these crazy price spikes, because 2 of the bigger pumps that we saw, actually 3 of the bigger pumps that we saw, were guys in primetime games. Rice, Worthy, Reed, and then we're going to talk about another one. It's actually 4 guys. Saquon Barkley. He had 3 touchdowns for the Eagles. I actually pulled 2 of his cards up. He's a tricky one because he's from the 2018 class, and if anyone knows anything, 2018 silvers are impossible to track down. So I went with his Prism base, which is up 70%, and his Optic Hollow, which is also up 70%. Now, part of this just could be there's a little bit more time on the charts and graphs, so they've had more time to air quote go up, because they all played Thursday and Friday last week versus guys that just played yesterday. I mean, Malik Willis is on here. He's got 1 day, 2 days worth of data. We're recording this on Tuesday afternoon, and Market Movers usually lags behind a day typically. So it's getting Monday sales. Nothing from Tuesday is on there quite yet. So it could be a little bit of that, but I think it actually, the more contributing factor is the primetime aspect and those first 2 games out of the chute, with them having the Friday game the first time out. Other than that, it was kind of a weird week 1, and I think this is a trend that we've noticed over the last couple of years. Most of these guys don't play preseason anymore, and everyone kind of starts out a little rocky. The biggest swerve of week 1 was the Christian McCaffrey stuff. I did not go looking to see if Jordan Mason cards were going to the moon or back again. But overall, it was just kind of a ho-hum week 1. No one went really absolutely like completely crazy outside of, at least from a quarterback perspective. This one hurts. Baker Mayfield had an absolutely fantastic week 1. And I have to watch Deshaun Watson play football. Let's look at the guys going down, because Deshaun Watson is on that list. Now, like I said at the top of the video, it takes some time for some of these prices to kind of flush themselves out. So these are not all going to zero, even if there is some clickbait nonsense on this video that says everything's going to zero, because that's the way YouTube works. But these are definitely guys I am concerned about and will probably trend down over the next week or so, depending on how things play out. Joe Burrow, number 1 on this list, and these are in order from most expensive to least expensive. He is not down much, but the last sale was from September 1st, so there hasn't been one since last week. There's actually a silver PSA 10 running at auction right now. It ends in 2 days, so we will see what that one goes for. But not a lot of action on his cards, and this goes back to what I talked about at the top and why it takes time usually to see the downward swings, is people don't want to fire sale Joe Burrow week 1. The smart play might be to fire sale Joe Burrow week 1. I don't know that for sure. I'm just guessing. I have no idea. But the Bengals are typically a slow starting team, but now you got all this Jamar Chase nonsense hanging over it. T. Higgins is already hurt. Joe Burrow looks like he forgot how to throw the ball past the 20-yard line. And being a Cleveland Browns fan, I know what a quarterback looks like that is afraid to throw the ball downfield. It's been the story of my life since 1999. Outside of a decent Jeff Garcia season, Kelly Holcomb getting some barbecue sauce, and Baker Mayfield limping us into the playoffs. So it's been a rough run. I know what bad quarterback play looks like. I am an expert in the field. Shout out Spurgeon Wynn. Justin Herbert on this list. They won, but another one where the 2020 rookie class, I think the shine comes off this year. That's one of, I think that's my prediction for the season, is the shine may come off those guys. Herbert might be a perfectly fine quarterback. I just don't know that he is going to throw up the arcade-like numbers that people want him to. He doesn't have the weapons for it, and I don't know that that's Harbaugh's style either. Apparently, J.K. Dobbins could run for 100 and some yards in that system, but Herbert, just the other thing that I don't like about Herbert is the fact that he has this plantar fascia injury going into the season, and I think that's going to haunt him on and off most of the year, whether he wants to admit it or not. Jordan Love shows up on this list just because of the injury factor. Out for 3-ish weeks. We don't really know for sure. I think the injury estimate was 3 to 5, and I'm hoping to be on the front end of that. Is this something that's going to nag him for a while once he comes back? He has all the fun toys. He has all the weapons in the world. They looked pretty good for a decent portion of that game until he got hurt. We'll see what happens, but just the injury alone, already having a knee injury in week 1, is a little concerning. Bryce Young. We're getting into the yikes territory now. Boy, oh boy, that trade looks real bad, and Bryce Young looks not good. Now, is that the fact that the Panthers themselves are just a terrible football team, or is Bryce Young actually bad at football, or is it both? It could be a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B. I would not want to have a lot of money parked in Bryce Young cards by any means. Next up, Will Levis, another one. Week 1 looked not great, and the Titans as a whole looked not great. I still am baffled by their decision to walk away from Mike Vrabel. I think he is one of the better coaches in the NFL, and I have a feeling he'll be heading to Ohio State pretty soon, potentially. We'll see what Ryan Day does this year. But that seems like a major step back. Levis just doesn't seem like he's it. Long season, people could prove me wrong. Feel free. For me, I don't bet a ton on sports. I'll throw out like a $20-25 wager here or there. I think I have 20 or 25 bucks on the Titans under 6.5 this year. And watching week 1, I feel pretty okay about it. His Silver Prism and Bryce Young's both currently sitting at 250 bucks. And then at the bottom of the list, now he is the exception. His stuff did tank immediately as people were fire selling the hell out of it. PSA 10 Silver Prism, Deshaun Watson, going for 80 bucks, down $70, down 45%. I think this was a 30-day. What did I put for this? I think 30 days on the ups and downs. Yeah, 30 days on these. He sucked. He looked like garbage. Now, once again, column A, column B. How much of that was Dallas defense and Micah Parsons is just really, really good? And how much of that was Watson is trash? I'm going to go with a little bit of both. We'll see what happens this week against the Jaguars. But I do not have high hopes. I just do not enjoy watching that man play football. I have been salty with the organization from the time that Baker left. That being said, Baker did have to have 2 other stops to get his head screwed on straight before he kind of got things together. So maybe it would have never worked in Cleveland, even if he did stay. I think he needed that little humbling field trip around the NFL a bit to kind of find himself, and good for him. I will forever be a Bucs fan as long as he is on the team down there. I enjoy watching Baker Mayfield succeed outside of Cleveland. That being said, I'm stuck with this Watson contract for a while. Don't mind me. This is just my therapy session while we talk about sports cards and their prices in week 1 of the NFL season. So these guys are on my caution list. The potential to definitely head towards Zero Town. The one that scares me the most, just because of the amount of money that is tied up in his cards, is Burrow. And a lot of that is tied to both him and Chase, both. And also a little bit of the Bungles being the Bungles and not just paying Chase. He's your best player. Lock him up and get it done. I know he has time left on his contract, but just take care of the star player and stop messing around with this stuff. So, curious for your thoughts and comments down below. What are your week 1 hot takes coming off the season? I'm sure we'll look back at all this nonsense in a couple of weeks and be like, what idiots we all were, because that's just the way the NFL works. I had a pretty decent fantasy week this week. I did win my content creator matchup. I put the smackdown on Ziggy in week 1 and won by quite a bit. I think it was a pretty large margin of victory in the content creator league. We will be on Off Centered later this evening, so we will catch you all on the live stream later. Peace.